ABC headline here that I want to go over. Boeing tries to defy gravity. We're going to look at some of that coming up. Obama administration exploits Trayvon shooting to push anti-gun, race-baiting rhetoric. We've also got curfews going on all over the United States because of racial unrest and racial attacks that are going on, but you have to dig to find that. Also, I'm going to give you my take at the bottom of the hour on the whole Saints bounty program of hurting people. I'm going to tie that in to some other key issues and give you a take I'll assure you haven't heard yet. So that's all coming up. Also, big attacks on the First Amendment. That's all coming up. Really important intel. But right now, Jonathan in Kansas, then Rick, Blue, Keith, William, and others. Rick, you're on the air from New York. Welcome. Yeah, okay, we'll go to Jonathan in Kansas then. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Yes, Alex, I agree with you. I think that they are trying to cause divide and conquer. I think it's better. What I would do, though, is I would bring up all the cases of bigotry through gun control, is what millions of people have died through that. But what I wanted to say was this was a distraction, and look what I found. It's to distract us from what other stuff. Like, I found this video on YouTube, and it's a Pentagon briefing, and it's on removing the God gene. It came out, it was dated April 13th, 2005, and basically it talks about how vaccines are going to be used to go after Islamic fundamentalists, and it says that it's going to attack their frontal lobe and cause them to be lobotomized.
Well, I know that they're coming out with vaccines that they admit will make you behave yourself, and they call them vaccines. They're really nanotech, genetic engineering, mutation systems, like vaccines so you won't have a heart attack, vaccines so you won't ever want to use drugs because it destroys all of your endorphin receiver sites. I have not seen this Pentagon briefing. Is it actual video of it?
Yes, go to YouTube and type in Pentagon briefing on removing the God gene, Pentagon briefing on removing the God gene. And also, I found something, it's not related to that, but it might be related to Breitbart. And basically, I found that on March 1st, the U.S. Military Defense Information System Agency, DISA, had a total shutdown of Internet access and BlackBerry service, and they didn't give a specified reason. It may or may not have to do with Breitbart, because considering that the Pentagon is the one that tracks down enemies and whatnot, we have all that legislation.
Oh, yeah, they probably killed him, yeah.
Yeah, well, there was an Internet outage, and they basically they gave no specified reason for that whole day. They had it cut off. There was no Internet. There was no BlackBerry, and we know that they're targeting everybody who's against Obama, and there's, all this legislation of NDAA and all that, and you have the targets list and this thing about citizens should be killed. If there's a blackout, a lot of times, if there's a blackout and keep people from knowing from other things getting released out.
Well, let me tell you something. You brought up one of the most important things that I've been harping on for probably more than 10 years, and that's all the government reports I have seen. And I have seen Pentagon text talking about giving you a vaccine that attacks key areas of resistance in your brain, physically attacking areas that, well, the God gene, that make you really care about something and really stand for something. They want to make you biological androids. But the fact that you're saying you found this video, and we've now found it, is big news. Thank you so much. That's why I love taking calls. More calls straight ahead. Rick, Blue, Kenneth, William, and others. I'm going to spend about 5 minutes telling you what I think about the New Orleans Saints scandal, where the feds are saying they may start indicting people for racketeering, organized criminal behavior. I've got an article here out of USA Today. Tell us what you think. Are you in favor of criminal charges for bounty program, hurting people on purpose? So we're going to be breaking that down coming up at the bottom of the hour. And you're like, Alex, I thought football isn't important. This is about the mafia that runs our country, posing like they're the good guys, going after people for small fry stuff like this. How do you have criminals enforce the law? That's where I'm going with it. It's like having the UN say they're going to invade countries to bring peace, or because environmental crimes are being committed. And all these top professors saying arrest people that don't agree with man-made climate change. These are authoritarians, packaging it all in a sicky sweetness. This is real danger we're in. By the way, we had a caller in the last segment, Jonathan, who said, hey, Alex, I found a Pentagon briefing where they talk about removing the God gene with vaccines that actually attack your brain. And sure enough, it's true, Department of Defense. Now, when he said that, my brain clicked, because I haven't done the fluoride, mercury, and things like the general public. And I was like, wait a minute, I've read that before. That's the vaccines that are going to stop rebellion, the vaccines that are going to neutralize us and turn us into basically zombies. Biological suboid servant androids. And sure enough, during the break, I went in there and looked, and there it is. So we're going to cue that up later. I mean, this is how much trouble we're in. It's one thing to have it on paper from them, but another thing to know. This weekend, I saw it in the news that, oh my gosh, some estimates are 1 in 56 now have autism in the U.S., 1 in 41 in South Korea. What's happening? And one thing is, well, it shows that iPads and things with small children wire their brains differently, and pesticides, and bisphenol A, and mercury in the vaccines. Folks, it's all of it. I go to restaurants, and I look and look at people's children, and folks, these kids look like they've been run over. And it's going to become so apparent soon when half the people on your block have cancer, and when your child can't talk at age 4, and when the curses of the eugenics slaughter hit you. In fact, I want to say something here right now, then I'm going to your calls. The FBI will use any excuse to snoop around my office, to call my employees, to try to get people to say stuff about me. I can't even go to a gun show without people running up saying, oh, Alex, here's my ID, but I don't want to use it. Buy me a gun and I'll pay you, with 2 ATF guys standing there. And it's clearly a setup, and I have to, like, get out of the building before they just claim I'm trying to buy a gun. I mean, this is my life. And then I realized the people trying to do this to me are literal victims of this. Their children, their grandchildren, their wives, their husbands are going to be affected by this. We're living in a science fiction movie. And I thought about it. I've got to control myself and not just be the primitive male I am. And I've got to intellectually get my act together and just present nothing but scientific reports. I've had an epiphany. Sure, I'll continue to have the radio show and do the nightly news and all of this, but what's really powerful is my scientific reports I do, where I show all the admissions, all the documents, all the facts, and those type of reports reach millions of people, and they're incontrovertible. But I'm going to ask you, what are you doing about this? My mother was over this weekend with my dad visiting with the grandchildren, and she's like, yeah, I saw it on the news, like, some reports are 1 in 80-something, and some are 1 in 50-something, and it's everywhere, and they don't know what it is, and they don't know what it is. We're being soft-killed. They turn up the chemicals, the biologicals, the radiologicals, the frequency pollution. The ambient level gets louder and louder. It's like crickets that are first. Is that a cricket? And then, yeah, those are crickets, and pretty soon there's a million crickets going off in a room till it's deafening. Everything they do is psychological warfare driven. They admit it. They slowly roll out, they're surveilling us without warrants. Now they just totally admit it. We're watching, recording everything you're doing. They slowly roll out that they want to start aborting children after birth and killing old people and having euthanasia, and now they just admit it. They slowly say world government's coming, and then say world government's your only hope. And they've hired armies of criminals to be in the bureaucracy and law enforcement, especially federal. And they've hired just vicious, hateful people who love preying on people and torturing and intimidating. Evil is loose, okay? And this is just the beginning. I mean, we got a government that'll hype up an unfortunate shooting and try to cause a race war and ship guns into Mexico and get caught blaming the Second Amendment and nobody gets in trouble. We've got a government run by mega banks who do whatever they want, whenever they want, however they want. All right, I'll go to your phone calls. It's just the magnitude of this information and how right we've been. And then during the break, I'm in there watching a Pentagon briefing where they admit we're going to inject the Muslims with a vaccine that makes them submit. It's a chemical lobotomy. We've gotten it. The young people now, you wonder why they can't get upset? They have done tests with monkeys and apes on giving them chemical cocktails into the bloodstream and then testing flicker rates on televisions to sync you up with it where you are a programmable biological android, a replicant. I'm living in Blade Runner here. And that's why a lot of the public can't focus. You can't get through to them. They don't have that urgency. They don't have that fighting spirit. They're gone. A lot of the public's gone, folks. They're gone. They're gone like a cousin, you know, who gets run over by a car and is brain damaged. Or like a grandparent who you visited your whole life and you go see them, they don't know who you are. They're gone. Public's gone. And even if we try to not eat GMO and try to be healthy, they're jacking the entire food supply. It gets into all the vegetables. They spray the vegetables with fluoride. They got chemtrails with barium salts, aluminum dioxide, thorium. They add uranium to the water supply. And people actually went and looked that up the last 2 years, so it forced media to cover it. And all over the country, news channels go and stick a Geiger counter up to the local water district, and it shows, you know, 50, 60, 70, 80 times the radiation level. And they go, oh, we don't. And then the police and everybody goes, we don't know, because no one does know, because it's hiding in plain view. It's added to the water. I challenge newscasters to do it. They go out and do it, but their news editors won't let them say it's what the city buys to put in your water. They just say, gee, we don't know why there's so much radiation in the water. We're fed radiation. We're fed radiation. I mean, the Pentagon says they're going to inject everybody to brain damage us. I mean, you know. I already knew it in paper. Oh, my God. There's another article by Aaron Dykes. Shocker, feminizing uranium, fluoride, and lithium in water to be exposed. Oh, yeah, that's from like a year ago, 2 years ago on Ventura's show. I'm done. Just stop. Just stop. Just take it down. And it just goes on and on and on. And we're like rats in a petri dish being killed. Let's go to Rick. I'll go to all these calls before we get into the NFL stuff. Rick in New York, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex, this is a first-time caller from New York, but I'm not gone, and I'm one of those Americans that are fighting back against this garbage that they're trying to force down our throat. But on the 26th, I tried to call in when you had Gerald Celente on with an idea. Well, it's not an idea. We know how it's being done. How American citizens can throw a monkey wrench into the corrupt system and cut off a major hidden funding supply of money that's being stolen from the American public. Every honest, constitutionally minded citizen can find out in their small town or village whether the assets and the real estate and the bank accounts of those individuals in those towns are being used to funnel into globalist banks. And as I'm waiting online. Your call screener's got me stacked up. I'm hearing a guy calling in from Dallas talking about how his aunt's estate has been looted of $9 million. When I heard that, I almost screamed through the line. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You said you wanted to talk to that guy off the air. Well, here's what we in New York found. And one of my partners is a former Vietnam intelligence officer that worked behind the lines.
We'll stay there. We're going to go to break and come back and have you talk about it. Yeah. Number one, they've got the comprehensive annual financial report, the real set of books. School districts, water districts, all the money. So about 75% goes offshore. You never see it. Most of your tax money leaves directly to foreign banks on record. The small percentage that stays is just there to control people. No, I mean, we are forcing ourselves to face reality here. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been running around like a chicken with my head cut off during this break. We are saving the video right now. I am getting intense chills. If you watch this video or listen to this and don't get freaked out, then that means they've already got you. I have had nightmares about this for a decade since I learned of it from government documents that are public, of a time when they're going to release a communicable virus that attacks the key lobes of the brain, the frontal cerebral cortex, so that you can't have emotion anymore, and it attacks another side lobe that is associated with spiritual experiences. They call it the God gene. I just, during the last two segments, watched the Pentagon briefing, confirmed it's put out by the Pentagon, with Pentagon code. I separately had read this in MIT reports, but I see the military brass in the meeting talking about injecting the troops with a lobotomizer. I feel like I should stop the show and go run screaming down the street saying, they're here, body snatchers. I mean, this is that big. But it's our own species, and it's men in suits and military officers at a Pentagon briefing sitting there. Put it up on screen for folks, guys. It's DOD ID 149AZ2. These are brain scans of troops. Troops that are, quote, get back from combat. Oh, my gosh. I remember Wired Magazine saying they give them amnesic drugs when they get back from combat, so they don't remember what they did, or when they serve 4 or 5 tours. Now when they burn them out with this, they give them a lobotomy shot. And they go on to admit it's a lobotomy shot. Whoa, whoa. And again, it's how they hide this high treason in plain view. They hide this where, oh, yeah, we're going to kill babies up to age 3. Yeah, we're shooting the troops up with this vaccine that lobotomizes them. It's for their own good. And the whole crew is in there with their mouths hanging open. When I made the video, brain-eating vaccines, and it only got like 300 and something thousand views. Guys, will you put up my brain-eating vaccine video that's on YouTube? Yeah, there's the right middle frontal gyrus after they've been given the vaccine. They just knock out that brain activity. Wow. And these are projects in 2005 with our troops. You have a religious brain that's A. You have the non-religious brain. You see, the key thinking centers are right there on that right frontal lobe. When they give you a lobotomy, that's what they hit. Wow. Oh, my gosh. I got nothing. And no one even cares. I'll probably be arrested because I'm not for lobotomizing everyone. I mean, it's beyond me what's going on here. And they're all over the news going, we're going to give your child a vaccine at school so they'll never want cigarettes or alcohol. What do you think cigarettes and alcohol mimic? They hit normal endorphin center receptor sites. It's a lobotomy. And they admit they've had these vaccines where there are viruses that go in. That's what this is. A live virus eats parts of your brain. And then I make a video about it, showing everybody the documents, and it's funny. That video should have 100 million views, not 300 and something thousand. And then I watched a bunch of people that were looking at my video laughing at me. You know I said I'd get back to Rick and Blue and Keith and William, everybody. But yes, all over the country, they're taking basically all the middle class's money, 70+% on average of all the money you invest locally, and all the fines and fees you pay, water district, school district, everything is taken offshore by global banking mafia using the Chicago mafia model of 1313. You don't know what that is? Look it up. I mean, yeah, that's what you got a bunch of psychos running things, okay? I mean, they put uranium and stuff in our water supply and are giving the troops, and they admit in this video, they're already giving troops this. They go, we're going to give it to the Muslims so they can't fight us. And the troops, when they come home, when they're done, we lobotomize them. And soon it'll be, you're not patriotic if you don't do it. I don't even know if I can do the show. I may just go to dead air just to signify how big this is. I mean, I cannot just report on this like it's no big deal, and then all that does is acclimate people. Thank God they didn't get me, and thank God my parents didn't vaccinate me. I had like 2 or 3 vaccines. I mean, it's stuff like the not giving your children breast milk. The formula is designed to give your child a brain that's much smaller, on record. All of it. No wonder the poor, pathetic public are brain-damaged zombies. Well, I repent for ever being mean to them. These are victims. My God, we're in a nation. They're already releasing this stuff. The autism rates are off the charts. We have discovered documents online from the Pentagon that most of it is blacked out, that it is a Pentagon research project to have a virus go in and destroy areas of the brain associated with, well, the God gene. So that you can't have Muslim fanatics or Christian fanatics because they don't believe in God anymore. You don't have the higher emotions. Those are the things associated with resisting. It's also the things associated with troops that are traumatized with PTSD, so you just give them a lobotomy. Now, when I watched this video, it blew me away because everything in it I'd seen in BBC, AP, Reuters, MIT, but separate pieces. I mean, so I know what the guy's saying is real. I know this is a real Pentagon briefing. It just totally blows me away that stuff like this is going on in plain view. And then there's the Marshall Program headline, because the head futurist of the Pentagon's named Marshall, but that's the headline in Wired magazine like 8 years ago about, in the future, it won't be what weapons our troops have, but what drugs they're on. And they go into it there. And that they've been testing this on the troops. I mean, they never had the troops serve more than 2 tours. Some are doing 8, 9 tours. This is destroying them. And then the answer is give them a lobotomy. And then it turns out the scientist, the gentleman that gave this presentation to the Pentagon, it turns out that Joey Lombardi, the man that is in this 2005 video at the Pentagon, it turns out he did interviews about it and said that he wasn't supposed to talk about as much of it as he did, and so they did it as a form of whistleblowing, and then he was arrested in South America last year. So, see, a caller calls in with something like this. I race down this rabbit trail, and then when I hit the information, it just totally blows me away. This isn't like going into a basement and finding 100 dead bodies. That's bad. This is knowing you're living in a giant test tube with a bunch of crazy people playing God, and I am angry about it. And we could turn this around anytime people would wake up to it, but it's just so beyond what anybody can even deal with. I don't even know what we do. Let's go back to Rick in New York. Rick, you were bringing up how you were on hold last week and didn't get on air, and the caller was talking about, and I did confirm who that caller is, from a wealthy Texas family. He's published a book about it, and talking about the big bank stealing his grandmother's money out of her investments. That's standard procedure. Standard stockbrokers are there to rob their clients. There are some moral ones out there, kind of like there are some rattlesnakes that won't bite you if you play with them. You know, there's some scorpions that won't sting you, but generally they will. So it's the exception, not the rule. It's just this system is run by predators for predators. And our own naivete is what empowers it. But tell us in a nutshell what you discovered in New York.
What we discovered in New York was that certain judges were lying on their financial forms and their ethics forms and their Board of Elections forms. Now, this can be applied to every state, every small town, every village in the United States to find out if honorable citizens' assets are being stolen and laundered out of their towns and villages. And what they have to do is to, if you have a judge or a clerk who's sworn an oath to portray correctly their assets of what they own, and they're not doing it, that's it. That's what this guy has discovered. That's what we have discovered. And how the American people can fight back is if you have a judge or a clerk that seems not to be following the Constitution, all you have to do is get his financial forms and his ethics forms and his Board of Elections forms. And what we found in New York are top judges in the state of New York lying on their financial forms, their ethics forms, and their Board of Elections.
Of course, they're all, I mean, almost all of them are total criminals. Anywhere you have all this gun control means you have criminals. Criminals don't want their prey armed.
Well,
do you think a tiger wants a deer it's hunting in the forest of India to have an AK-47?
What I understand. What we can do is drive these judges out of the system by the citizens getting
exactly. But that's what the tyranny is all about. Is they know we're waking up. They're racing to tie us down.
What we can do is fight back by getting their financial forms and ethics forms and matching them with their real property holdings. Okay? That's their Achilles heel. We can drive these corrupt judges out who are controlling the police departments to use the police departments against us. We can choke off one of their major funding systems.
Yeah, if the public only knew. If people think the government shipping guns into Mexico to blame the Second Amendment or shipping drugs into the country, that's nothing. They're involved in every racket, and they've got little special counties in every sector that engage in criminal activity with them. Like Williamson County north of me is one of the most evil counties in the world, not just the U.S., just a center of pure evil with people posing as conservatives, just like serial killers will wear a suit and tie. I mean, I won't even enter Williamson County, just a den of pure wickedness. And but the public's going to find out. Everybody's going to find out. Drink your uranium, your fluoride, eat your GMO, take your shots, die of cancer. It's just all of it. Pure judgment. I appreciate your call. I mean, we're living in total psycho world. And the only way it's happening is good people are naive, sitting right next to the pure evil. Let's go ahead and talk to Blue in Tennessee. You're on the air, Blue.
Thank you, Alex. First, I want to throw out an idea, and then I have a comment at the end on the Zimmerman case. The idea is when you have lemons, make lemonade, and we can use this movie, The Hunting Game, as a way to expose Agenda 21 to middle school students as well as high schoolers. Because once you explain what Agenda 21 is to them, they can actually see it.
No, I agree. Look, the system thinks a movie like Hunger Games is just going to condition us to our future. When we explain the Hunger Games is Agenda 21, it's a great way to wake people up. I totally agree.
Yeah, I think if I'm not clever enough to do a website, but if someone could do a website that says the story behind or the secret behind the Hunger Games, that's going to catch the kids' attention. That's going to say, oh, I want to see what the secret is. And then that's where we lay out the case of Agenda 21 in terms that they're going to understand. And let them know that there is a great possibility within their lifetime that this could happen to their own children.
I hear you. God bless you. Instead of dying in some jungle or woods fight like in the movie, they send you over to fight foreign enemies over opium and then give you a shot that basically lobotomizes your emotions before you come back. This is what they're discussing.
Yeah, I would love to have a contest about people putting up posters and banners and yard signs around the movie theaters talking about this, if someone could do this website.
Yeah. Well, it's we shot a video of that same name, the secret of the Hunger Games revealed, and we shot another video with a similar headline. They've had about 100,000 views. And people say, why are you covering the Hunger Games? Because by exposing the fact that that's what Agenda 21 actually says they want to establish, complete with gladiatorial events between the different 10 sectors, not 12, when people go find out, hey, this movie is based on real stuff, then that gives them an idea of where these environmentalists want to go. These are not environmentalists. I appreciate your points, Blue. Keith in Florida, you're on the air. Welcome.
Hello, Alex. I was calling about the article you all did a couple of weeks ago under the Citizens Corps.
Yes.
I participated in a community emergency response training program for like 6 weeks. They have it once a week. And they, the local fire departments, and it's in every county in the country, under Homeland Security, they fund training that's held in churches and community centers. And then what raised the red flag is the guys that I went with, I said, you know what? I bet you at the end of this, they're going to bring in some guy that's higher up, and he's going to talk to us about watching terrorists. And then the move out of the Obama deception where you show where the cop that's coming up to the lady that's taking pictures of the dam, he described that to the T. And I said, this is all a setup. Well, what they do is they promote people, and they have even old ladies like wanting to be involved, and basically they're creating a bunch of spies, and they want everybody to spy on one another. And then they start having these events where they get together, and they have like flood drills and search and rescue drills and terrorist training drills, and they have them at least once a month. And it gets people, everybody gets real hyped up, and some of these people, they get real serious, and I had to back off because I realized what they were doing. And I tried. All right,
let me stop you. I wish you could shoot video of that, because I knew that the FEMA Corps was covertly, quietly set up, not secretly, but quietly set up in 2002 as part of a division of AmeriCorps called Secure Corps. And so when Obama announced 2 weeks ago that FEMA officially runs it, it's going to be called FEMA Corps, I already knew because I'd seen some of these volunteers at events. But yes, they get the Boy Scouts involved, literally going in their house and reporting back to the military what guns they own. I mean, there's different variants, and people thought I was joking about this years ago. Now it's openly happening. You're saying you went and volunteered for this. Tell us where it was, what happened, what the spying was like.
Okay, what they do is they'll even have training drills at military installations. And you go in, and they'll set up a scenario where you have to act like you're injured, or, they'll give you different role playing. In some cases, you actually act like you are a terrorist. And
I was about to say, it always starts with, we're helping people with hurricanes, but next it moves into we're fighting Al-Qaeda, then next week marijuana growers, and then finally Christian conservative gun owners, it moves on to their real enemy.
Right. And they have you, and they're constantly telling you, you don't know who a terrorist might be.
Exactly.
And you have to watch everybody around you. And then they have different individuals, they're like, hey, you do a really good job. We want you to start leading the program. And then people, you can start seeing this, they feel empowered. They feel like they're a part of the system. And then it's almost sickening because you realize that I went in, I was wide awake. It was like I had the glasses on. I mean, I could see what was going on. And I could see, it was like, I think you said the red pill or blue pill. It was like I saw what was going on, and I tried to tell my friends, and of course, they started calling me tinfoil and all that. And I was like, you know what? How did I know what they were going to do before they did it? Explain that to me. And then everybody gets real quiet.
But see, your friends don't care because it's the power of having a Fed act like they like them. And, of course, they want you to be the cannon fodder when they start a Hitlerian-style takeover of America. That's what I'm telling you, folks. They have been training to wage war against us during this banker takeover for decades. What made you, Keith, get involved? What's your county? Tell folks how you got signed up for it, because I think I ought to go get signed up for this, or we ought to send some of the crew over there to get signed up, because this is what goes on. I mean, I've actually caught some video of this, but so we're told it's for hurricanes. Everything's fine, but give us details.
Okay, so what you do is it's called citizenscorps.gov, and it's under CERT, Community Emergency Response Team.
Yep.
And you go there, and they have forms, or you can contact your local fire department. And because FEMA has a representative under Homeland Security in every county in the country.
Which again is federalizing everything locally with the money, the training, and what you're saying is absolutely accurate. And then the cover is, I've seen this in rural areas, come on in to learn how to fight Al-Qaeda. You get there, free coffee, donuts, they show you a 10-minute Al-Qaeda video, and then they turn and say, now we're going to start dealing with domestic terrorists, gun owners.
Right.
And it totally flips. This is the enemy. These are the foreign invaders. These are the terrorists. This is actually happening. Okay, so continue. So they get you in there.
And they get you in there, and then basically you're talking about what first aid, safety, emergency response, and then how to be, like, let's say, for instance, if a tornado comes in, they teach you how you're the community leader, you get this special vest, green vest with CERT on it and a green hard hat. And then if the police come, they talk to you because they see you with the vest on. But what they do is they have other people within your zip code that are within like a 5-mile radius that's a contact person. You all share each other's number, and then if you see things, then you share it with them and etc.
Yeah, so they use the tornado as the cover, which sounds reasonable. That should be locally organized, not federally. They get rid of the old civil defense. Then they say you're in a community, and then next they move in to their real target. Tell me about that.
Right. Well, what they do is then next thing you know that you get these emails or notifications. Hey, we're having a training drill that's going to be at the local military base, and we're having it there so that way we can have a controlled environment. And then they do like a mock setup, like if there's a mysterious bag that was found, or they do indicate in the case of civil unrest. They do
of course.
Things like that. And so
you're going to let us know who the troublemaker are and bring them back to the base.
Literally, I mean,
yeah.
and that's so true. And a friend that I know that actually went. The way they recruit you is they go to your church, they go to large corporations. They definitely come in, and then everybody gets this email. Hey, you can help your community and become a community emergency response team member. And we are meeting at this location. And let me tell you this little mind trick that they throw in.
So federal posse. Go ahead.
They throw in these little bags, okay? When they bring you all together at like a local emergency training drill, and you get your bags, well, they give some people crappy bags, and then they give some people good bags. And then other people, they'll say things like, well, we got to try harder so that way we get better bags. It's like seeing... It's pathetic. You see people feeding off of something that's...
I was about to say, it's not reasonable, hey, let's get ready for tornadoes, everybody works together. You can see it's all a mind game. It's like FBI looking for informants, but not an informant of real crime. They want to find the weak-minded people they can use who will lie and send people to the gulags. That's because they hired Marcus Wolf, the former head of the Stasi, on record, paid him $1 million a year to train and set all this up. This is how the East Germans did it. And this is hell on earth. It's so beyond anything anybody could imagine. I've been to the urban drills where they train to line citizens up and shoot us. I have it on video. The Marines train to come into our cities, have our kids spy on us, and then line us up and shoot us. That's who runs America. No wonder the military's waking up so fast. Anything else you want to add? Anything else you need to add to the story, sir?
Well, I just want to say...
Stay there. No. I want to hear more, and more calls coming up. You know, I think about a new listener tuning in here, and you're not hearing all the mainstream garbage and debates about stuff that doesn't matter. People must think we're completely crazy. Of course, if they go look it up, they'll find out there are hundreds of, quote, vaccines that are really live virus lobotomy weapons that eat different parts of the brain. That's coming up next hour. And this is being deployed against us, just like SV40 that's caused hundreds of millions of cancers, our own government admits. I've done news reports on this, in the U.S. that was given to us through the polio vaccine. And you're like, well, I don't take that now. It's viral. It's communicable. I mean, do you understand, folks, that pediatric cancers, cancers of children, depending on what type you look at, but they're all up massively, some over 10,000%. In fact, I was looking this weekend, it was even higher than that. That's why I'm not worried about being arrested or set up or killed. I'm dead already. Do you understand? When you watch Pentagon briefings about viruses that are going to lobotomize the troops, and then you have evidence they're already doing it, testing it on them, there's just no going back at that. There's no going back for me anymore. I'm living in a science fiction movie. And the average person just cares about Mega Millions and the NFL, and hears this and is like, oh, that guy's saying they give the troops shots. We're in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. See, the globalists are trying to manage how to get us all brain damaged so they can then release mega plagues that kill almost everybody. They go underground, reemerge. They've got the seed vaults, the DNA vaults. I cover it in my film Endgame. I cover in the new video we shot 8 minutes long, The Secrets of Prometheus, film leaked. And I use something popular in culture like that to then get people to look at what's really happening. Going back to the gentleman, yeah, I mean, you can find newscasts of what he's talking about where they show you pieces of it. And again, these events, they get members of the community to go to it who think they're going to fight terrorists, and then you find out it's spying on your neighbor. But they don't care about that. They're finding the types that will do it. My dad was approached. Then he learned other dentists all over Austin were all approached by Homeland Security to spy on their patients and violate their Hippocratic oath. They don't give those anymore. Doctor-patient privilege, attorney-client privilege. It's all being overthrown. Everything that was set up to protect us, everything to protect us from evil, it's all being removed. Shields are down. This country's going to be judged up one side and down the other. We're already being judged. Go ahead, caller. Finish up. Keith, any other observations? Go ahead. You wanted to say something else?
I was just going to say that they give you like a special badge, and it makes you feel like real official. It's not like a law enforcement badge, but it's like a corporate type of badge that reflects in with light on it. It has your name, and I always thought it was funny that there's a number on it. Why is there a number on it? But they give you that. You put that on your vest that you have, your special vest that you get, and then they constantly are harping that, you know, you got to be on the lookout for terrorists and things of that nature. But there was just one last thing I wanted to mention. Alex, thank you, because what I do every day, I made it a point to I have to wake one person, and then I make sure I pass it on to my son is 10, and he knows what I'm going to say when I get around people, and he says, go to Infowars.com. So you got the next generation too, okay? So we want to make sure that everybody's informed, everybody's awake, and I make it my point to tell at least one person a day, and I tell them, if you look up what I'm telling you and you see that it's true, you got to promise me you tell one other person.
Exactly. Perfect. Keith, love you, because I know if they kill me, you go on. I really enjoy it when the globalists try to poison us, and, well, we resist them via a free market system. Hello, my fellow info warriors. Alex Jones here, introducing you to the ProPure family of gravity-fed filters. Now, you know that the globalists are filling our water with radioactive isotopes, fluoride, lead, mercury, arsenic. And one of the few systems that can efficiently and economically remove or reduce down to non-detectable levels these poisons are gravity-fed filters. And ProPure is the top of the line. Their filters are impregnated with silver, a natural antibiotic. On top of that, they're bigger, so they filter faster. You don't have to prime these the first time you use them. It's amazing. Go to Infowars.com and click on the shopping cart link to see the entire family of these babies. Now, the fluoride they add to our water is so tiny that most filters can't cut it out. But ProPure has their system that will, again, reduce it to non-detectable levels, almost get all of it out of there. That's also available. And if you look at the different systems they offer, the ProPure Big Brush Finish is on a stand, so it's easier on a table or at your restaurant or wherever you have it to go up with a glass or a mug and fill it up. Then there's this big baby right here, the ProPure King large version. Got a lot of different options that come with it. Also, they have the ProPure Big, probably one of the best values out there. And of course, it's burnished stainless steel. And then what I use on my RV, something that's great for your hunting cabin or the back porch, is the ProPure Traveler. Small and portable, but packs a huge punch, cleans out all that garbage. They also have the glass sight spigot, so you don't have to take the top off and look in the bottom area to see how much water. You can see how fast it's filtering with this optional system. The globalists obviously are hitting us through our water. It's time to take control of our lives. It's time to not give our children and families these poisons, and these systems cut it down to non-detectable levels across the board. ProPure is the name. I only promote what I believe in. And I use ProPure in my home and my office. And I recommend that you check out the information on ProPure at Infowars.com. We already have the lowest price at Infowars.com on the ProPure gravity filter system. But when you add in the 10% off when InfoWarriors use the product code WATER at Infowars.com, nobody can top it. So again, it's a win-win-win. Stop drinking the poison water. Checkmate the globalists when it comes to your health, and support Infowars.com and the work we're doing here. You know, many revolutionaries rob banks and things and kidnap people for funds. We promote in the free market the products we use that are about preparedness. That's how we fund this revolution against the New World Order in our move to restore our constitutional republic and a spirit of 1776 worldwide. Check it out at Infowars.com. ProPure, top of the line, #1, most powerful and effective and economical gravity-fed water system in the world. ProPure, available, discounted at Infowars.com. Don't forget product code WATER to save 10%. It's the latest generation, years in development. ProPure is the name. The New Orleans Saints scandal, where the feds are saying they may start indicting people for racketeering, organized criminal behavior. I've got an article here out of USA Today. Tell us what you think. Are you in favor of criminal charges for bounty program, hurting people on purpose? So we're going to be breaking that down coming up at the bottom of the hour. And you're like, Alex, I thought football isn't important. This is about the mafia that runs our country, posing like they're the good guys, going after people for small fry stuff like this. How do you have criminals enforce the law? That's where I'm going with it. It's like having the UN say they're going to invade countries to bring peace, or because environmental crimes are being committed. And all these top professors saying arrest people that don't agree with man-made climate change. These are authoritarians, packaging it all in a sicky sweetness. This is real danger we're in. By the way, we had a caller in the last segment, Jonathan.
Justified reason for that whole day. They had it cut off. There was no internet. There was no BlackBerry. And we know that they're targeting everybody who's against Obama. And there's, this legislation of NDAA and all that. And you have the targets list and this thing about citizens should be killed. If there's a blackout, a lot of times, if there's a blackout and keep people from knowing from other things getting released out.
Well, let me tell you something. You brought up one of the most important things that I've been harping on for probably more than 10 years, and that's all the government reports I have seen. And I have seen Pentagon text talking about giving you a vaccine that attacks key areas of resistance in your brain, physically attacking areas that, well, the God gene, that make you really care about something and really stand for something. They want to make you biological androids. But the fact that you're saying you found this video, and we've now found it, is big news. Thank you so much. That's why I love taking calls. More calls straight ahead. Rick, Blue, Kenneth, William, and others. I'm going to spend about 5 minutes telling you what I think about it now. Jonathan in Kansas, then Rick, Blue, Keith, William, and others. Rick, you're on the air from New York. Welcome. Yeah, okay, we'll go to Jonathan in Kansas then. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Yes, Alex, I agree with you. I think that they are trying to cause divide and conquer. I think it's better. What I would do, though, is I would bring up all the cases of bigotry through gun control, there's what millions of people have died through that. But what I wanted to say was this was a distraction, and look what I found. It's to distract us from what other stuff. Like, I found this video on YouTube, and it's a Pentagon briefing, and it's on removing the God gene. It came out, it was dated April 13th, 2005, and basically it talks about how vaccines are going to be used to go after Islamic fundamentalists, and it says that it's going to attack their frontal lobe and cause them to be lobotomized.
Well, I know that they're coming out with vaccines that they admit will make you behave yourself. We got a BBC headline here that I want to go over. Boeing tries to defy gravity. We're going to look at some of that coming up. Obama administration exploits Trayvon shooting to push anti-gun, race-baiting rhetoric. We've also got curfews going on all over the United States because of racial unrest and racial attacks that are going on, but you have to dig to find that. Also, I'm going to give you my take at the bottom of the hour on the whole Saints bounty program of hurting people. I'm going to tie that in to some other key issues and give you a take I'll assure you haven't heard yet. So that's all coming up. Also, big attacks on the First Amendment. That's all coming up. Really important intel, but right. And they call them vaccines. They're really nanotech, genetic engineering, mutation systems, like vaccines so you won't have a heart attack. Vaccines so you won't ever want to use drugs because it destroys all of your endorphin receiver sites. I have not seen this Pentagon briefing. Is it actual video of it?
Yes, go to YouTube and type in Pentagon briefing on removing the God gene. The God gene. Pentagon briefing on removing the God gene. And also, I found something, it's not related to that, but it might be related to Breitbart. And basically, I found that on March 1st, the U.S. Military Defense Information System Agency, DISA, had a total shutdown of Internet access and BlackBerry service, and they didn't give a specified reason. It may or may not have to do with Breitbart, because considering that the Pentagon is the one that tracks down enemies and whatnot, I mean, we have all that legislation.
Oh, yeah, they probably killed him, yeah.
Yeah, well, there was an Internet outage, and they basically they gave no